How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another Jarvi blog. It is Thursday morning, so we are here to bring you some of the top discussion on labor issues affecting Michigan, the country, your friends, whatever. We're just here chilling at the downtown Grand Rapids Market again at this place called Aperitivo. Special thanks to Aperitivo for having us today.
Thanks.
I am Zach.
I am Bill.
And I'm Allie.
So last week we talked about some of the ways to kind of motivate your staff in the summer months, and we talked about giving your staff time off and letting them decompress. Bill, you took a vacation recently, right?
Well, not just any vacation. No. Just a couple weeks ago, I surprised my wife and
That's right.
took her to Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty
How's
amazing. It was amazing. She knew absolutely nothing about it. I worked with a couple friends and got her to the airport, got her clothes packed. She had no idea of any of this.
Told her nothing.
I told her there was absolutely zero communication with her. She had zero control over the entire trip. And
My wife would kill me.
And, everybody tells me that, and typically I would say the same thing too, but my wife had the time of her life.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
That's a really nice thing you did.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool story.
Yeah, so Bill, kind of to steer to a topic here,
Yeah.
that kind of reminds me a lot of job searching, actually, and how people don't like to be communicated with when they're searching for a job and in the interview process.
Well, as someone who is looking for a job, not me, but for candidates out there who are looking
Every day.
I think one of the things that they look for the most is to be communicated with. They want to make sure that they're fully aware where they are in the process, what the actual process is, and just direct and constant communication with the potential employer.
So the opposite of what you did.
Right.
The very opposite of what I did. They want to have communication. They want to have some control. They want to understand that they have options. That their chances are they're probably interviewing with multiple companies anyway, and they're going to, as they're interviewing with companies, they're taking into account how those companies communicate with them, and if a company has poor communication, then they're going to think throughout the interview process they're going to think that's how that company communicates all the time.
Could be a symptom.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
last week we talked about, it was 4th of July week, so we talked a lot about how to kind of treat that if you're on the job seeker side. If you do get that brick wall, I guess is a good way to put it,
Yeah.
or that blank inbox of no one contacting you. And Bill, you did mention that could be a plus or a minus. That tells you a little bit about the company culture and helps you make your decision. So, Allie, what's like a good timeline of your expectations? Let's say you're applying for a job. What kind of timeline are you expecting for communications as a job seeker?
Yeah, so if I came in, did my interview, I would expect some kind of follow-up email, either saying, hey, let's go on to next steps, or hey, we're going to go a different direction, or hey, we're going to offer you the job. I would expect that anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks, maybe because it's summer now, push it out to maybe 4, even maybe 8 weeks, just because, like we mentioned last time, there's holidays in the summer, people tend to go on vacation.
Yeah.
So just because you're not hearing something, the next day or even in the next couple of days doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, but it just could mean that, there's different processes that they're going through, or people are gone, people who need to look over the interview or conduct the
Approve the
interview.
interview.
Yeah, might not be in the office. So I would say anywhere, reasonable, 2 to 4 in the summer, maybe 4, maybe even out to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Good.
So, Bill, that's her expectation. As a recruiter, do you meet her where she is? Do you try and exceed those expectations? How do you approach that knowing what she's looking for?
Well, first and foremost, as a recruiter, you need to know what her expectations are, right? You can't exceed someone's expectations unless you have a good idea what those expectations are. And so part of that would be is asking the candidate, or at least laying the groundwork for that candidate and saying, this is our interview process. And then the candidate will say, wow, that's a short process, or that's a long process. And then you can have that open line of communication to find out, well, how does that fall into your, as a candidate, how does that fall into your time frame? And then you can kind of find out if that person has other jobs they're considering. Maybe they need to know in the next 2 weeks because they're also interviewing with 2 companies on the other side of the state that want to make a decision in 2 weeks.
Sure.
And so as a recruiter, now that I know that, if this is somebody I really truly want to work for my company, I'm going to do everything in my power to get the process done efficiently, but as quickly as possible. So hopefully we can meet that candidate where they are.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, do you prefer to be very direct with those questions, or do you prefer to be more like subtle? Like, would you flat out ask someone, "Are you looking for other work?" Or would you ask a question, look for cues, and then maybe probe if you get a cue from someone?
I've done both.
Really? Okay.
And I think as a recruiter, you have to be able to do both.
Sure.
Not every candidate is the same.
True.
So if I'm talking to somebody who is direct, chances are they like direct communication.
Yep.
So I may just come out and say, "Are you currently looking for other jobs?"
Yeah.
And I'm not going to ask them which jobs,
Sure.
but I definitely want to understand where they're at in their career search,
Yeah,
because
it's a
then
valid
I
question.
have an understanding that if they are looking for other jobs, maybe it's not that they're totally excited about my job; they just want out of the one they're in.
Good point.
So
Good point.
you can read that part of it as well.
Yeah. And that can help kind of steer the rest of the process too.
Definitely.
You can tailor the process to your candidates and based on what you're looking for. Cool. All right, cool. That's all the time we have for today. We're going to be here next Thursday.
Yeah.
Like usual, we haven't picked the topic yet, but I'm sure it's going to be a lively discussion. Special thanks again to Aperitivo for having us here today. After we get done here, we're going to go have a drink and enjoy our afternoon together. So we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye.